The Chicago Bulls are taking risks and taking chances to go all in for tonight's game against the Miami Heat, who have play-in seating ramifications on the line. I am Shaq Barnes, aka SB Tall Sports, here with another great episode of Bulls Digest, the number one spot for everything Chicago Bulls. Also, I noticed that 67% of you guys have been watching the channel but have not been subscribed. So make sure you guys hit that subscribe button. Join the Bulls Digest movement to stay updated to everything Chicago Bulls. But like I said, the Chicago Bulls have went all in for tonight's game against the Miami Heat, who right now are currently in a battle for better seating when it comes to the play-in spot. This has been a very exciting rundown to the end of the season. The Chicago Bulls have turned a new leaf with the new young core that they had with this roster. And also you can give credit to the Miami Heat on their side with everything they went through with former star player and former Chicago Bull, Jimmy Butler, where they kind of turned it around a little bit. They got better ever since all that drama that went on the fold. Now, when you look at what this tonight game means tonight, obviously we got the Heat versus the Chicago Bulls preview. Both teams are 36 and 43, 10th and 11th in the Eastern Conference right now. So this game has everything on the line when it comes to seeding, when it comes to moving up to maybe get to that 8th, to that 7th spot, because obviously the Chicago Bulls just lost to the Cleveland Cavaliers, and the Atlanta Hawks just lost, and the Miami Heat is coming off a win. With everything on the line of this game is going to feel like a playoff atmosphere game. I can guarantee you right now, this is going to be your first experience of a play-in type atmosphere game tonight, because the Chicago Bulls and the Miami Heat understand how important tonight's game is for a win. Obviously, with the Chicago Bulls, this is possibly where we can go up to maybe the 9th, maybe the 8th spot, slide it in, because obviously the Atlanta Hawks coming off a loss is a big mover for the Chicago Bulls and the Miami Heat. And if you go look at the current Eastern Conference standings right now, obviously a lot of teams have secured and punched their ticket into the great dance that we have here called the NBA playoffs. But obviously we really want to hone in through that 7th through that 10th spot, because that is the play-in. Obviously you got the Cavs, the Celtics, the Knicks, the Pacers, the Bucks, which shout out to Giannis. He's actually been playing outstanding so far since Dame absent, and the Pistons have pretty much secured their spot and they're locked in, and it looks like those seats are set. So when you look at what we really need to be looking at, and this is right here, the Eastern Conference play-in standing right now. And obviously Brooklyn and the Raptors don't matter, so please ignore them. But obviously you see the Miami Heat and Chicago Bulls are both tied 36 and 43. There are 3 games behind the Orlando Magics, but the Bulls and the Heat are both 2 games behind the Atlanta Hawks. I think the best thing for the Chicago Bulls to do, honestly, when it comes to the play-in situation, is win out. I just think you got to win out. I know, which we're going to get into later in this video, about what gambles did the Bulls take especially with the Cavaliers game. And also, I definitely want to shout out to a point that the Bulls weren't the only team that went all in for tonight's game. But with the Atlanta Hawks just losing, you can see Atlanta possibly sliding down with the next couple of games, especially with a team like the Orlando Magic on the tail end of their schedule for their season. And the Chicago Bulls can just win out and possibly go for that 8th seed. And then now when you go for that 8th seed, now you possibly playing the Orlando Magic, and you can actually sneak in and get the 7th seed. I think the Bulls should go for the highest seed possible, try to get to that 8 to 7 range, because even if you go from the 8 to 7 and you play the 7th seed and you might lose out to the Magic, you still got another chance to play the winner between the 9 and 10 seed. Or you can actually go win that one game and then be at the 7th seed and be secured and be prepared for your playoffs and take that trip to probably Boston. Or if you want to play 8, you want to go to the 8th seed, and do you think you got a better chance against Cleveland, you can fight and position yourself for that 8th seed. Now, when it comes to the Chicago Bulls and what I said they rolled the dice on and what they took chances is for tonight's game. They went all in for tonight's game. Obviously, the Chicago Bulls had a game against the Cleveland Cavaliers. They rested a couple players, rested some starters, Vooch, Kobe White. And our first instinct with initial reactions, everybody overreacted and said, why would we do that? We trying to win. And I know some people was thinking like, oh, well, we're going to lose to the Cavs anyway, which is not necessarily the case because the Chicago Bulls team has been one of the best teams post All-Star break. I just think that the Bulls knew we had a back-to-back schedule. And shout out to Billy Donovan and shout out to the guys understanding that we have a back-to-back game. And a game against a back-to-back on our next game off our back-to-back is against the Miami Heat, who are a team that we are fighting for a spot for. So it made more sense to rest guys to prepare for tonight's game. And then you also give the other players some burn, some run, and let them get a good run and get the young guys prepared too, or to give the bench players some good rotational minutes. And the Bulls, we lost the game, but from what we had out there, the Bulls didn't do bad. And to answer the question of the title, will resting the starters backfire against the No, it will not. No, it will not. It's a back-to-back. It'd be different if like the Bulls played Sunday, Monday, and the game was like Thursday and they rested players. Then yes, you have no reason to rest players. But you talking about you just played Cleveland, and you got to come back to Chicago for a back-to-back. No, you have to do what's best for the team in the long run right now, and it was be 100% prepared for the Miami Heat. And when you look at the injury report list for both teams right now, you got Andrew Wiggins, question with a hamstring. Alex Burke is available, back with a back injury. Hayward Highsmith, probably with an Achilles. Kevin Love out, personal reasons. Nikola Jokic out with hand. And Isaiah Stevens questionable with a foot. And Drew Smith is out with an Achilles. Then we got the Bulls side. We got Trey Jones out with a foot. Kevin Huerter out with a neck. Nikola Vucevic questionable with a hip. Josh Giddey day-to-day forearm. Lonzo Ball out with a wrist. And Ayo Dosunmu out. And the reason why I made sure I kept certain names off on this list because Bam Adebayo was out. But guess what? He's traveling with the team. Andrew Wiggins was out last game. He's traveling with the team, and he's going to play. They rested Bam Adebayo. They rested Andrew Wiggins also. So when everybody questioning about the Chicago Bulls sitting out Kobe White, Vucevic, and those boys, they rested the players because they knew tomorrow game is going to be a playoff atmosphere game. I'm expecting hard-nosed basketball, very gritty game, and it's a lot of things that Chicago Bulls need to stay focused on. And I think the Chicago Bulls, for a bigger picture, need to play that game. But for everybody saying, why did the Bulls rest players? I didn't hear nobody have any say-so about when the Miami Heat did it. Because Miami Heat had the same idea. Hey, we got to go to a young run-and-gun Chicago Bulls team in Chicago. And we got to try to win this game to try to get better seeding. We try to get better seeding against this team in the playoffs. You know why the Miami Heat rested players? To try to make sure they get as good seeding as possible is because the Chicago Bulls are 2-0 against the Miami Heat this season. Both times they played in February, they played in March. The Bulls put belt to A on them. The Bulls got the W. And with the Bulls getting the W, with the Bulls getting a W and having a 2-0 record over the Miami Heat, they own any tiebreaker. So if the Heat and the Bulls are tied, which they are now tied with the same record, the Bulls will have the higher seed. And now with us being tied, the Bulls should understand even more that how important winning this game will be because of the fact of being 3-0 against the Heat. You can move up. Then if the Atlanta Hawks choose to lose a game again, go on the 2-game loser streak, that's a better chance for the Bulls to move up. But then now they'll be secure in a spot of winning tonight's game will secure us a spot from fighting the Heat anymore. We 3-0 the Heat. The Heat is out of the picture now. We're fighting against the Atlanta Hawks. So tonight will be the best time to seal the deal in this game. And it's a lot of different keys that comes from tonight's game. And Key number one, we got to look back at what happened the last two times that the Chicago Bulls and the Miami Heat played. And it's certain things that I noticed. One, look how high this score is of this last game. 133 to 124. The Chicago Bulls went out and got the dub. Probably star players of the game, probably Josh Giddey, Kobe White, and Ayo Dosunmu had a surprisingly great game, 21 points, 9 assists. Get well soon, Ayo Dosunmu. We definitely need you back here with the Chicago Bulls. And Lonzo Ball was here too, so we won't have no Lonzo. We won't have no Ayo Dosunmu in this next game. But one thing, like I said, one point out, the high score of this game and the high assist rates from our guards went from the Giddey, Ayo Dosunmu, and Kobe White. Then we go into the next game, a little bit of lower score game, 114, 109. The Chicago Bulls win. Kobe White obviously had an outstanding game. Buzelis got the start, and then Josh Giddey had another monstrous game, 26-12, went off against the Miami Heat. And for me, when I'm looking at these numbers and seeing this, and you know I got to give you the SB's keys to the game, you gotta figure out who is going to be your star player of the game first before we get to the keys of the game. And the player who has to do the most for this Chicago Bulls team will have to be none other than Kobe White. I'm expecting a big game for Kobe White. One, because he did get rested the game before. With him being rested the game before, I think he would be already guns blazing. Obviously, Kobe White give you 20 points, 3 rebounds, 4.5 assists, a steal per game, shooting a 45 clip from the field goal and 37% from 3. I think Kobe White has to be the player of the game. Kobe White probably had to drop at least a nice 25 piece, shoot a high. His average probably from 3, and that will help the Chicago Bulls major in the long term. And for me, my 3 keys to the game that the Chicago Bulls need to do to win this game right here against the Miami Heat is 3 things. Play Chicago Bulls style of basketball. That is 1. And what do I mean by that? Pace, high pace, fast basketball. The Chicago Bulls post All-Star break is one of the best teams when it comes to pace. Actually, they are the best teams. When it comes to the Miami Heat, they are at the bottom of the barrel when it comes to pace of the game. So they sometimes want to slow the game down. I think the Chicago Bulls do not need to be caught up in Miami Heat style of basketball. They need to make the Miami Heat play Chicago Bulls style of basketball. That's run and gun, up and down the floor, and get shots up. And if you're going to get shots up, make sure you get a high value of shots up. And if you look back at the last couple of games that the Bulls played, either they shot a better percentage or they shot more threes and had more rebounds than the Miami Heat in both victories. And I think the Bulls need to get a high clip of shots up. I don't think this Miami Heat team can keep up with the Chicago Bulls, especially with the pace that they're playing at right now. I can't see the Heat keeping up with the Chicago Bulls when it comes to scoring and getting up shot attempts. The Bulls are at the top of the league when it comes to 3-point attempts and 3-point attempts made post All-Star break. Same thing comes with field goals. The Miami Heat cannot say that. Like I said, Miami Heat wants to slow the game down. The Heat wants you to play at their pace. They want to grind out defensive game. The Bulls should not try to make this a grind out defensive type game. We got to try to make the Heat play Chicago Bulls style basketball. And another thing that I brought up too, the Chicago Bulls have to win the rebound battle. The rebound battle will be key in this type of matchup, especially when you want to be a run and gun, up and down the pace type team. I would really prefer, obviously, anybody get the rebound would be better. I will hope Josh Giddey get a double-double type of rebound game, because obviously when Josh Giddey gets the board, he can look up the court, make the down court pass, push the pace, put the Bulls in position to score, and run a fast break, and we need to run them out the gym. Chicago, the United Center, the Madhouse on Madison will be rowdy. It will be rough, and everybody will be ready to go. And like they say, it's a Madhouse on Madison, and it will be one. Thank you guys for watching another great episode of Bulls Digest, here with your host, Shaq Barnes, a.k.a. SB All Sports. Make sure you guys like, make sure you guys share, make sure you guys subscribe, and make sure you guys comment down below. Who do you got winning tonight's game? And then also, will the risk of resting players actually help the Chicago Bulls win tonight's game against the Miami Heat? See you guys on the next episode. Peace.